Oh, cue the music. Cue the music. Frankie, is that your Taylor Swift dance?
Sure. Let's go with that.
You gotta, I don't know, get the hips into it a little bit more. It's all
Yeah,
in the hips.
I don't know if people want to see my hips on the show.
I definitely don't want to see your hips. Justin, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Pretty better than Jalen Hurts.
Ow.
Ow.
It hoits. It hoits.
Hurts. It was difficult not to use that as the title for this episode.
Yeah.
So, we haven't done football in a couple weeks. To be fair, last week I was quite sick. I was quite ill and did not want to – I just straight up didn't want to do a show. But this week I'm feeling good, ready to rock and roll, ready to talk some football. Are you guys ready for some playoff buffering on Netflix?
Yes. Cannot wait for it.
So
Maybe they'll fix that problem.
When we tried to watch the Tyson fight, Justin and I were watching the Tyson fight, or fight in quotations. Yeah. I should the Tyson. What should we call it? Money grab. The publicity stunt sham. Yes. Of the ages. Boxing always has such crap like that. We just do a general podcast where we just talk crap about sports in general. But it was buffering like every 5 minutes. At first, I thought it was something wrong with my Netflix, and then I realized everybody was having it. I checked social media, and everybody's like, F Netflix. And the one comment people were getting was like, they're not going to be ready for Christmas because everybody watches. More people are going to watch football than watched the Tyson fight. So I'm prepared for some serious buffering. All right, let's talk about the Cowboys. They beat the Bucs, spoiled their playoff hopes. Justin, you want to lead off?
You know, with the Cowboys, it's misery loves company, right? So they're not going to be in the playoffs. Why should anyone else?
If there's anything I hate more than the Cowboys, it's Cowboy fans. I've known a few Cowboy fans in my life, and they're all unreasonably cocky about the Cowboys, despite the Cowboys never winning anything. Do you notice that, Frankie?
Yeah, as a Yankee fan, I can kind of understand where they're coming from.
It's more like with the Mets. At least the Yankees have won a chip in the last, couple of decades.
That is fair, but I feel like the Yankees, and this is on a whole other tangent, but I feel like the Yankees are becoming the Cowboys in a way, and as our last successes become further and further away, Cowboys still have at least 10 years before we do. But yeah, on to the game here. This was a fun Sunday night game. Was not expecting this to see what we saw out of Dallas. Dallas had been eliminated that day, so I just assumed that backup quarterback, like they're just going to mail it in. But they actually played well, fought hard. Tampa with just an inexcusable loss. Just too many mistakes, too many penalties. But I guess that's what you'll have when you have Todd Bowles as your coach. And yeah, the fumble at the end of the game, that was – I feel so bad for Baker because the man is just balling. And unfortunately, he does not have the team right now that is enabled to get him those wins that he needs to lock up a playoff spot. And yeah, the mistakes at the end there with the fumble, just a killer. And who would have thought that Michael Penix, who just got his first start this week, is right now in the driver's seat to win the NFC South. Truly crazy, but that is the state of the NFC South right now. But terrible performance for Tampa, but nice job by Dallas showing some fight even in a lost season.
Any thoughts on that, on the game or the NFC South, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, so Michael Penix, they switched him in over Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins have been playing pretty terribly. But it almost felt like Atlanta was like, let's just punt on this season. We've got no chance. And then Tampa goes out and lays an egg. And now they've got a chance. So now you got to start to wonder, does Atlanta go back to Cousins for one last playoff hurrah, or do they stick with Penix, who did not look great against the Giants? And if you can't look great against the Giants, I wonder what's wrong.
Only if there's no punt intended. Hey. Hey. All right.
I don't get it.
Frankie's a moron. Frankie, we love you. Frankie, the Bills squeaked one out against the Pats. The title of this show on the thumbnail is MVP in doubt. How you feeling about Josh Allen's MVP hopes as we creep towards the end of the regular season here?
I still feel good about it, but boy, it took a hit last week. I after the game before, in which he had just played so well against Detroit, coming off this incredible stretch for Allen, this 3-4 game stretch where he was playing out of this world, I like most people, I think just assumed, well, the MVP race is over because Allen's got a weak schedule. He's going to just, burn through that and he'll win. But not so fast, my friend. Lamar put together a great performance on last Saturday against Pittsburgh. Allen really struggled against New England, not as effective as he should have been. And this is not a very good Patriots team. Drake May aside, this is not a very good Patriots team. He should have been much more dominant than he was. Made some bad mistakes in the game, including that arm punt interception, which I'm just sitting there going, just run 7-8 yards instead of just chucking one up there and having the Patriots just pick one off there. And he was lucky that the guy stepped out at the one. And now Allen is still the favorite, but now it's close because now we got Lamar playing tomorrow in a primetime spot on Netflix, unless the stream starts.
Supposedly, we'll see.
Supposedly. So if Lamar balls out against the Texans, and then we got the Bills coming up with a 1:00 game on Sunday against the Jets, which is not really primetime material, there's a possibility Lamar could take the MVP lead right back after this week. We'll have to wait and see. But Lamar's going to have to ball out tomorrow if he wants to overtake it. But it's going to be a close race right now. It's exciting, but I think Allen still is the leader because of the stretch that he had before, but he had a chance to close the door on Sunday. He didn't do it.
All right. Well, we got over 50 people watching. Just a note for those of you watching on X, we usually stream baseball stuff on X, but we're actually streaming from my other channel, our football channel, no punt intended. On the far right, Justin Parisi, football extraordinaire in terms of brain. Frankie, we need a third guy, and then me. I like baseball, so it's a fun show. We try and have a good time. Dolphins, my team growing up, they eliminated the Niners. Niners are finished. Justin. Do you think the Finns still have a shot to make the playoffs, or is it just kind of like I kind of have a shot to date Taylor Swift?
I don't know if you've ever seen the Princess Bride, but they're mostly dead.
Mostly dead.
Mostly dead.
I always thought dead was binary, but
But there's a chance, they're gonna probably win again, and they're probably gonna keep their hopes alive. But they're probably gonna get eliminated by someone else winning and getting into the playoffs before them. That's just how the Dolphins season's gone. But yeah, I mean they've looked a lot better since Tua came back, but they've lost some games they probably should have won. And that's the story in the NFL. If you don't win the games you're supposed to win, you tend not to make the playoffs.
So, Frankie, what are your thoughts on Tua since he's come back? I haven't had a chance to watch much of it. How does he look post-concussion? Is he the same guy? Is he, a little bit off? And how concerned should they be that if he gets another one, that's it?
He looks a lot better. He looks like the same Tua. He's even still, like, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, still diving for first downs head first. And I'm just like, my gosh, please, Tua, please learn. Don't do that anymore. We all love you too much. We can't afford to see you suffer another terrible injury. But no, he looks like the same quarterback. The Dolphins have looked a little bit better, but not to where they were last year. And it's a shame because if they were healthy the whole time, this could have been a great Dolphins team. But that injury really derailed them. But yes, you have to be concerned, especially with somebody who's had a couple concussions. And it's not like Tua's concussions are different than like normal. Like Jalen Hurts' concussion was, every concussion is bad, but Tua has, he kind of, short circuits, like whatever the expression is, like his hands are, are shaking. So I don't know the exact term of that, but I'm sure somebody out there.
Is it rigor mortis? Has he died?
Yes,
it's like beginning of Rocky V after Rocky fought Drago. Yo, Adrian, I can't stop my hands from shaking.
We don't acknowledge that. That.
That movie, honestly, I kind of like the story. I know a lot of people hate that movie. Tommy Morrison did really well for like his only acting role ever. I just also watched the documentary about Tommy Morrison. I was building this kitchen table. I needed something to put on. And it's like a great 2-hour documentary. It's on ESPN Plus, the 30 for 30s. It's just called Tommy. It's about his boxing career. That dude had some legitimate like power. I didn't realize he was like, he started off like 32-0 or something like that. And he was a legit boxer. He actually won the title, but against George Foreman.
Yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, I guess he was good in that. But it just compared to the other Rocky movies, compared to, I mean, the classics of 3 and 4. I mean, come on.
I actually watched 1 through 4, and then I just watched the recut of 4. I don't know if you've seen the Sylvester Stallone recut of Part 4. It's just called Rocky. They got rid of the robot. They mostly got rid of the little kid. But it's really, really bad editing. It's like, stick to acting. You're Rocky. You don't need to be the editor too. Like there were lines cut off weird. There were just odd cuts. There were lines that made no sense. The mouth syncing was bad with the audio. It was legit. I was embarrassed for him as a fellow editor, and I believe as an editor, Frankie, who's also quite good, you would understand.
Yes, that's the worst thing Stallone's ever done, and that includes stopping My Mom Will Shoot. So that's really saying something.
Yeah, that was a real piece of shit too, but I enjoyed it more than Rocky versus Drago. All right, so Vikings continuing to roll. They beat the Seahawks. Justin, how you feeling about the Vikings right now?
I mean, they don't look spectacular like a Bills or a Ravens, but they're a solid team. Sam Darnold has really brought this season to life for the Vikings. Originally, we all thought that they were just going to mail it in. They were starting a rookie quarterback. Maybe J.J. McCarthy would be good. Maybe it'd be a rebuilding year. But then McCarthy gets hurt, and then they're like, well, we got Sam Darnold. Why not, right? And he's been really good. He's really shown why he was such a high draft pick. And now, really the key to their season, the key to their playoff hopes is the signing of Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
It always comes down to
you see how that said with a straight face? You see how I said with a straight face?
That was good.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and disagree. I'm not the football expert here, but I'm going to say that you might be right.
Hey, you watch. Darnold's going to get hurt. He's going to turn an ankle. Daniel Jones is going to come in and lead them all the way.
Daniel Jones, the Nick Foles of 2024.
We're all laughing about it now. He's going to be hoisting up the Lombardi Trophy in 2 months, and we're going to be like, well, damn, Justin called it. Michael Penix Jr. era has begun in Atlanta. Frankie, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was not the best performance in his first game, but again, it was the Giants who. Thank God we don't talk about the Giants every week because I feel like I would have an aneurysm if I just.
That's why we renamed it from the New York Football Show to No Punt Intended.
Next year
might be the New York Football Show again. That's a great thing.
No, I don't want to talk about the Giants again. I don't want to talk about it for another 10 years. Okay, this team is. I'm off topic here. But yeah, it wasn't the best performance, but he looked fine. He looked solid enough. And again, against the Giants, that's all you really need to be. So the question is now, as we get closer here, these last two games, is he going to be able to step up and deliver in these huge spots to potentially give Atlanta a playoff spot? We'll have to see here, but there's not much more you could ask for. He didn't really have to do much in his first game because the Giants have essentially quit on this season. So we'll have to wait and see what he does here in the next 2 weeks. But solid enough start to his career.
Justin, before we get to your power rankings, the other thing I want to touch on from this week, Commanders beat Philly, and Jalen Hurts. Hurts. What are your thoughts on this?
It was looking like it was going to be a really big Philly win. Yeah, they were well on their way. And then Jalen Hurts gets a concussion just going for a dive play, right? And it's kind of weird because he's done that so many other times and that hasn't happened. And it looked like it happened when he hit the ground, but after that, Washington just kind of took over. Eagles brought in Kenny Pickett to be the backup, and he's Kenny Pickett. I mean, he's like discount Daniel Jones. So he did all right, but the Commanders just really rallied, and Jaden Daniels I think solidified himself as the offensive rookie of the year with that performance. He's had some other really good performances, but that one was just top notch.
Frankie, do you concur?
I concur with that. It wasn't the prettiest game for Washington either. I mean, they turned the ball over 4 or 5 times, but they still got the win. I'm not really judging the Eagles based off this performance because you lose Hurts early on. And Pickett, the offense just stalled with Pickett there. However, with all that said, if Devontae Smith catches that ball, probably a different story. But he doesn't. Daniels goes down the field. How many times have we seen this guy this year get a big touchdown to win the game? He's been, even though, we're here in the local area, we're supposed to support the Giants and all that and hate all the other NFC East teams. He's a likable kid. It's a fun story. Good for Washington for them to finally get out of football doldrums that they've been in for years. And I guess one fun story here. So I was out on Sunday, I was watching. So we were at a family gathering, but there was a bar nearby. So I went to the bar and I was watching the Eagles game. And as Saquon is having the big 70-yard run for a touchdown, as he breaks free, there was a Giants fan next to me who just screamed out, "Oh, of course, just trade him to the Eagles. Why are you doing that?" So that was the one funny part, is that every time Saquon runs for a touchdown, Giants fans are just going to be just apoplectic and mad and just hating the world because Saquon is on the Eagles. So that was the one funny one. Even though it's not exactly what happened, Saquon didn't get traded, but it was funny to see that.
Apoplectic, excellent word usage. That's triple word score there. All right, Justin, let's go through your power rankings here. Take us through the top 5. I'll go ahead and put them up as a comment for folks who are watching. Who's taking your number 1 spot this week?
That's the Lions. I mean, they're still looking really, really, really good. They're 13-2. They've lost one more game than the Chiefs have, but they were so much more impressive in their losses. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, they look like the better team this year. They've really found something that works. The Chiefs, I mean, they're the Chiefs. They're 14-1. They keep finding ways to win. They did it again against the Texans, and all it took was, one of the Texans players diving into Tank Dell's leg to help him out there. Another injury loss there for the Texans. At 3, we got the Bills looking really good against most teams they're playing, except for the Patriots. For some reason, they have Patriots like blindness or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Patriots-itis.
Yeah, something like that. Coming in number 4, Eagles. They lost Hurts. Now the question is, how long is Hurts out? Do they rest him this week? Because they've pretty much have sewn up that division, or they're pretty close to sewing it up. I don't know. I think if he can play, you got to play him. Vikings at number 5. They've pretty much have run away with that division. Even though the Packers look really good as well. We'll talk about them in a second. Number 6, Ravens. Lamar Jackson. I personally think he's your MVP. I mean, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's just insane.
How many rushing touchdowns does he have now? He's got to have a bunch.
He doesn't have a ton. He hasn't been running nearly as much. Like, he's been more of a pocket passer. It's almost like he's like trying to show everybody, hey, I can do this. Like, this is easy for me.
I feel like I've seen him run for a few. I haven't. This is the team I've been watching the most of this year.
Yeah, 3. 3's not a lot for him.
3.
Like, he's not using his legs nearly as much. But he's still a dangerous runner. You still got to worry about that. But the Ravens' biggest question, I think, is going to be their pass defense. You can definitely throw on the Ravens. So if you've got a solid passing game, then they're going to be in trouble there. Steelers at number 7. They gave the Ravens a game for a little while, and then Russell Wilson on us. Try playing some hero ball, throwing the ball downfield when he shouldn't. Sometimes he does that. I mean, we've seen that before. I mean, Super Bowl comes to mind, right? Don't give it to Marshawn Lynch. No, I need to win the game.
My brother still has. He's a Seahawks fan, and he's still got PTSD from that.
Yeah, it's one of the worst calls ever. And I suspect Russell Wilson was the one who called the audible on that. It's like, no, I got this, guys. I got this.
Yeah.
Commanders at number 8. Jaden Daniels is looking like the next Lamar Jackson. Honestly, like, solid runner, passing heroics at the end of games. Packers at number 9. They looked really good against the Saints. Of course, the Saints have gone back to the paper bag Saints days. I don't know if you remember watching the Aints. Right? Yeah. They wore the paper bags over their heads. They're like, oh, we suck. And then number 10, Chargers. They beat the Broncos, and they're ahead of their division. So, I mean, that's your top 10 there. I mean, nice. 10 can be swapped out with a couple other teams, but honestly, that's really? I think it's a Lions Chiefs matchup probably in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say, really what we're looking at is top 5 right now. It's really the only teams that have a shot at this point. All right, let's talk about our players of the week. We'll wrap up Christmas Eve, let everybody go a few minutes early here. Who is your player of the week, Frankie?
Well, I wanted to go with the picks you guys went with, but early board gets the worm, so I had to settle for someone who actually had a pretty good game, Chuba Hubbard for the Panthers. He had a rushing touchdown to win it. And Carolina has looked, they certainly in post-Bryce Young benching era, they've certainly looked a lot better here. But Hubbard had 152 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game-winning touchdown there for Carolina. So I go with Hubbard getting the win there for the Panthers.
Justin, who you got?
I got Jaden Daniels, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, not great, but He had the game-winning touchdown pass with 6 seconds left. And that was made possible, in my opinion, by the coaching decisions of Nick Sirianni and throwing the ball twice in a row with Kenny Pickett rather than running with Saquon Barkley and making the Commanders burn some timeouts, burn some time off the clock. They won it with 6 seconds left, right? I mean, you got to know the situation. Throwing the ball in that situation, while it was wide open and Smith should have caught it, it's a risk you take. And once you drop that ball, the clock stops and you give hope to the other team. So that was probably one of the worst coaching decisions I've seen in a while.
And wrapping up this episode, my player of the week, Jonathan Taylor, 218 yards rushing, 7.8 yards per carry, and 3 touchdowns. Hell of a job. Frankie, Justin, I wish you guys a happy Christmas, a Merry New Year. Actually, strike that, reverse it. And to everybody watching, all 132 of you, which I think is a record for us in this show, tune in next week. We're going to be back with more football stuff on, I guess it would be New Year's Eve, right? So we'll talk about this week's Christmas matchups if we're able to watch it through the buffering. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.